Welcome to another day in the Matrix, waters above crypto. I'm sending you all love and high vibrations. I know this crypto market has shaken a lot of people out over the past couple weeks, and you guys know I like to keep things calm, especially during times like this. These are the pivot points in the market where the market makers are pushing retail to their limits, not only financially, but emotionally, spiritually, and in all ways. Remember that it's their job to make you scared of this market so that you continue to make poor choices with your investment strategy. But it's when I started to study these market makers and how they move this market, I learned that this is more about patience and controlling emotions and not letting the price action of these cryptos or stocks control you, because then you are letting an intangible coin be your master. And now you know the reason why it's called a blockchain. It's right there in the name. The block or the box is the prison cell, and the chain is what's keeping you from being able to escape that prison. You must understand that this crypto thing has nothing to do with emotions and has everything to do with transhumanism. It's been the goal of my channel since day one to attract those enlightened individuals who are seeking these truths so that they can thrive during times like this. And I don't mean just thriving financially, because before you have financial freedom, you must first have spiritual freedom. And if only people could save their emotions and energy for being passionate about their freedom instead of being passionate about money, you'd see a complete change in our reality as a whole. So to start off today's video, and in between me making my next video, I want you to remember this: seek freedom and the money will show up. Live every moment of your life with gratitude and love, and you'll begin to manifest abundance. These are the words that needed to be said, and if you don't resonate with this message, that's completely okay. Perhaps this isn't the place for you. If these are the words you needed to hear and it made you feel empowered, go spread that vibe throughout your community, because I know that if you made it this far, all the way to this small YouTube channel that talks about crypto and Gematria, you must be here for a reason. And you are a leader as well, someone that has the ability to help others during times like this. I know this for a fact because when I speak, I say my words intentionally so that it is heard by the ears of leadership. Don't let what's happening in this market get the best of you. Make it be what makes you your best, because it's in the darkness where the stars shine. There's so much more to this life than what's going on in this market. So from this point forward, anyone who follows this channel, whether you're a subscriber here or a Patreon supporter of mine, first of all, I am so grateful for all of your support. I truly love every single one of you. So from this day forward, if you're here, please live every day of your life with love and gratitude. Do not let this market get the best of you. Take a moment, pause this video, write down 5 things you're grateful for. Then when you're done, take a deep breath, breathe out any negativity, stress, anxiety, or fear-based emotions. And then when you make that next breath in, let it be your new start. A start where you're at ease with whatever's happening around you, whether it's your relationships, your job, the market, your portfolio, whatever it is. From now on, you are okay with the chaos. You are okay with letting go of wanting to be in control of things that you cannot change. This is your new start. So welcome. In today's video, we're going to start out with a Gematria decode to follow up on my last video where I actually warned about yesterday, calling it a day of importance due to what I discussed in my last Gematria decode. So I'll make sure to recap that information in today's video as well. And then, of course, we'll move into the charts and do some technical analysis on Bitcoin and XRP to share some price levels to pay attention to for support and resistance in the short term, while the crypto market is sideways and in consolidation. And if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria Numerology and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow this community. And for those of you that want to learn how to do technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, you can join my Mastermind course. The link to my website can be found in the description box of this video and in the pinned comment below for access to my Mastermind course. And with that being said, let's take the the red pill. So in my last video, I actually gave a little bit of a warning about the date of December 13th, which was yesterday. That video was published on December 10th, about 4 days ago, to prepare everyone to not get so excited about the price action over this weekend and moving into today, Tuesday, which is the day after this day that I was giving a little bit of a shout out to. So the price that was in that video when I filmed it was actually around 47,800. I believe Bitcoin is down about $1,000 from there. But since that whole video played out, we did see Bitcoin try to make a move up during the weekend and then got rejected, and yesterday pretty much brought it right back down. Around the time I woke up this morning, Bitcoin was actually within $400 of the price of the last video I put out. So all in all, it's pretty much trading at the same price, and it was the reason why in my last video I was telling people to not get so excited just yet. To be calm, let this market play itself out, and of course if Bitcoin makes any moves down, it will bring down the altcoins. So the reason I was paying attention to yesterday's date, December 13th, was because it had the 66 date numerology the way that I like to add it up. We have 12 plus 13 plus 20 plus 21, giving us 66. And then we also had 3 months and 6 days since the start of Rosh Hashanah. I've been talking about this quite often. This can be perceived as 36 or 3 sixes, which is 666, which adds up to 18. Now, this day left 18 days left in the year, so we had multiple connections going on here. All right, so we have the 666, the way we were perceiving it, and then the 66 date numerology, 6 plus 6 plus 6 equaling 18, coming back to the amount of days left in the year. And this number is very important in Judaism, the number 18. And you could go look that up on your own time. It's very fascinating stuff to research. So the other important connection that I was making was this 347th day of the year, because 347 is the 69th prime number. And we know that number 69 is crucial now because Bitcoin has hit an all-time high of 69,000, followed by a big rejection. And then also Saturn in Gematria gives us that 69, and Saturn is Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin. Saturn is Father Time. Again, this is what the whole algorithm and blockchain technology was designed to do, to be a time control system that will be eventually our future economy. So what's going on here by the code is pretty interesting. How Bitcoin was created by Satoshi Nakamoto, and the current all-time high of Bitcoin is 69,000, again connecting back to Saturn. And yesterday we had that date 69th prime coming back to the 347. So we can see how important it is now, guys. This connection that I made was absolutely spot on. So we have to take into account all these moving parts going on, not only the day of the year, but the days left in the year. And then the two styles of date numerology that I've exposed would be the regular date numerology before reduction, and then you have your date numerology when you add it up with any double digits. And we can see how impactful that is, especially when we tie all of this back to Shemitah or Rosh Hashanah, the Hebrew New Year. And I believe that the entire market operates on the Hebrew calendar, not necessarily just the Gregorian calendar. The importance of the Gregorian calendar is when you are basing it off of the Hebrew calendar. That is where you get an extra step forward into how this is all actually working. So many things to consider, but I want to pay attention to the next day that I'm looking out for, which is actually tomorrow. Now, the reason why I'm considering this day as important is because it will be 99 days since the start of the Hebrew New Year, and this 99 connection is coming back to Jupiter. And we know Jupiter is Peter the Apostle. And this is all tying back to the code at large, but this 99 connection is massive. We've seen before, actually, I've showed everyone how when we take from Rosh Hashanah and we went backwards to any master numbers like 33 days, 99 days, 111 days, we were seeing major moves in price action. And I believe that this will continue out until the end of Shemitah, which will be in September of 2022. Still have a lot of time left in that. Now, this will be 99 days since the start of Rosh Hashanah, the Hebrew New Year, and that's why I'm considering this day as important. Again, tying back to Jupiter with Gematria. And we have two other things to mention. We have the date numerology giving us 68 and also 14. And when we mirror these numbers, because everything works in mirror, as above, so below, we would have 86 and 41. And that's really interesting to me because that 86-41 is coming back to Mercury. We have 86 and we have 41 right there. And tomorrow is Wednesday, miércoles, or the day of Mercury. Now, this is very important because Mercury gives us 23 in Chaldean, which ties back to Bitcoin, 23 in Chaldean. We know these numbers are all massive, and we know these planets play a huge role. So by adding in the name of the date, you have an extra layer of importance. This is something I've taught everyone. Now, there's some more things to say about this, but I want to discuss the primes again. We have the 349th day of the year. Again, that is the 70th prime number. And 70 can be reduced without that 0 to 7. And Shemitah is the 7-year cycle, again, starting on the 7th day of September. We know these 7s matter a lot now, because the day of Shemitah starting, we had a huge correction, which we called out here on this channel way in advance. Now, this 349 in connection to 70 is definitely making me open up my eyes to so many other things that are going on, and I'm going to expose that in today's decode. Today's going to be a long video. I want to start putting out these videos that have a lot of knowledge and wisdom, something that you guys are learning. This is really important. As an educator, I want people to learn this code. This way you have something to work on when the market is doing what it does. Remember, the market will never do what you want it to do. The market just does what it does. In the meantime, learn your technical analysis, learn your decoding, and you will have an edge on the market, and this will help you reduce your emotional response to the market because you are already prepared for anything to come. These big connections by the code are showing us the volatile days in the market. Just like December 4th was a volatile day in the market, just like yesterday was a volatile day in the market. So this big connection here can be looked at a little bit deeper. So we have the 349 as the 70th prime, and this days left in the year, 16 can be considered 1 plus 6, giving us the reduction down to 7. Now, the 68 and the 14 are important because it comes back to XRP. We have XRP with the 14, and we have Ripple with that 86. Again, this 86 coming back to Mercury in the same cipher, all right? Now, this is where it's going to get even deeper. Now, Ripple gives us that 27. Again, that 27 in the same cipher comes back to Jupiter. We know that Jupiter is tied to Ripple, absolutely, the tiger. Now, anywho, this Jupiter giving us the 27 tied to Ripple, and I'm really interested in this date because this will be the follow-up date moving into the 16th of December. These 2 days are, this whole week, like I said in my last video, this whole week is a make or break for crypto. This is a very pivotal week. Why was I warning about this? Because this 50th week of the year has everything to do with Saturnalia, all right? And I've been talking about this for a while. I actually did a podcast with Logan over at Decode Your Reality. Go check out his channel. We did a really comprehensive breakdown of the importance of this particular week. So I'm going to break down all the days for you guys, really let you know how I'm feeling about everything. So couple things to say here, of course. This date of the 16th, the day before Saturnalia, is giving us the 69 date numerology. That's tying back to the earlier part of our decode. Now, we have that connection with Jupiter, and we have that connection with Ripple. And why does that matter? Because the day is going to be a Thursday or Thorsday, the day of Jupiter, all right? This is very important that you pay attention to this. This will also be 3 months and 9 days since the start of Shemitah, and 3 times 9, again, coming back to 27. 9 plus 9 plus 9, 3 nines, all right? And this is tying back to Ripple. Now, one other thing to say about the 69 number, because again, I want to teach you guys something, kind of the way that I'm looking at this while I'm doing my decodes. The 69 is the zodiac symbol of Cancer, all right? And this is the crab. So the 69, again, you can see it in the symbology, just like I exposed that the Jupiter zodiac logo is the 24, and we were seeing how well that worked since the start of my channel in all of my decodes. So this 69 logo, it's all about the logos. Again, once you start looking into the logos, you start to see a lot more how to decode with a level of insight that most people would overlook. So we have that 69 connection again. This is massive. And I just want to show you guys a little side note how important this all is. So the Cancer is the zodiac symbol is the crab. Let's just break this down for you. All right, remember XRP gives us that 15, but I want to show you. All right, crab gives us that 15. And this is how deep it really gets. The 16th, this day, leaves 15 days left in the year, and it also has the standard date numerology of 15. How crazy is that this is all tied in like this? Most people would overlook all this stuff. So this date is really interesting to me, and that was just a side note, just to teach everyone of how I'm thinking while I'm doing my decodes. Not necessarily as important, because of course we are not in Cancer right now. We are in Sagittarius, and this Sagittarius, I'll just quickly go over it for everyone to show you how important this code is with even more validity. I believe it's 2 T's, yeah. Sagittarius giving us that 29, and why that's important is because this all is about the new variant, and this new variant, again, 29, and I believe I've shown you guys this stuff in the past, but I just want to go through all of it again. Sagittarius is the archer giving us that 35, and this date that we're discussing leaves 350 days left, or the 350th day in the year. Again, in the rules of numerology, you're removing the zeros, coming back to 35. Again, this date being in Sagittarius, the archer. And why this word is quite important is because right there you can see between the English ordinal and the full reduction, you have a mirror, that 5335 connection. Just like with Venus, we have it with the 8118. But anyways, archer. We're giving that 35. This date will be 350th day of the year, again, coming back to the 35s. Or this can be perceived as 3 5s, 555. Very important. So with all of this being said, this also has the 18 in Chaldean. So Archer gives us 18, and that gives us some more evidence as to why yesterday was so powerful in the market. We had a big pullback, and we had 18 days left in the year. Again, this 18 number and 81 ties back to Venus, but it also ties back to Judaism as a whole, right? So wow, like there's so many connections to be made here, but I just want to quickly talk about this new variant and how it was all tied in, because of course the new variant was released to the world stage through the mainstream media during Sagittarius, and we saw right there by the code, we have the 29 in the zodiac, and then also in the word of the variant giving us 29, and where this all ties in is through this agenda. So to get back on track, this will be the 15th date left in the year, the 16th of December. You can see it right here, days left in the year, 15 with the date numerology of 15. And we know this new variant is the 15th letter in the Greek alphabet, okay? And this is all happening during Sagittarius, all right? And this 15 ties back to XRP with the 15, and I mean, it just gets crazier and crazier. I'll show you one other thing. This date will be 3 months and 9 days. You could perceive that as 39. And of course, new variant equals 39 in Chaldean, the reverse full reduction cipher. I could keep going. I mean, this is the transition day, which goes into Saturnalia. And Saturnalia, we will be speaking about in my next video for sure, before the actual date of Saturnalia, which is the 17th of December. It's a time frame between the 17th through the 23rd, being called the best of days. But you could see right here, observances is public sacrifice. So one of the crazy things that this decode will end on is how this date of Saturnalia, be the last thing I say before we move on. Of course, we were talking about the importance of this transition day, but the actual day of it gives us 70 date numerology. That's 70 is being tied back to this new variant because in isopsophy, it is the value of 70. All right. And what else has 70? Shemitah, 70, and also Vatican, which is where the Jesuit order is operating out of. Again, that 21 tying back to our friends. And this is so much deeper than just these guys. I mean, this is global. This is a massive takeover of humanity, and they're using this variant as a psyop to push their agenda even further for mandates and transhumanism. So this 70 that I was talking about, again, in multiple videos, rules of numerology, you're removing that 0, you're getting to the 7, and we are in Shemitah, which is the 7-year cycle. And this started on Rosh Hashanah, which is the 7th day of the month of September, just like I said earlier. So I would not be surprised if we get the new variant news of this word around the date of the 16th or the 17th, and this will create market volatility. Now, whether the market goes up or whether the market goes down, that is something that no one will know with any, it's a coin flip, okay? That doesn't matter right now. What matters most right now is people being okay with whatever happens. Because over the last couple weeks, I've noticed the morale of crypto investors has dropped to an all-time low. And the people that have been preparing themselves spiritually, consciously, emotionally, and in all those ways, it's just another day in the matrix for them. And that's important because you want to live your life for what is really life. Not get so caught up in the dates and the price action. All I'm doing with teaching people this is so that they have a new skill so they can get better at managing their emotions before these days happen. To give yourself some rhyme and reason to why we get volatility on certain days, on certain times, in certain times of the year, how we could perceive this price action for something deeper than news, which is just the broken compass. North, east, west, south. That's what news is. It's the broken compass. It is lies. It is indoctrination. Learning this code will help you with your TA. If you learn both together, which I teach in every single video for a full year now almost, this will help you see the market through a new set of lenses that you never had before. And that is my goal. So let's move into the TA. Now, we just had a weekly close a couple days ago. I actually did not make any content yesterday because I wanted to see how this transition of the day went. It pretty much went exactly how I anticipated, washing out any of the progress that was made over the weekend. That's precisely what occurred. Today, I believe we had a little bit of a shakeout. Most of the altcoins were looking red, but as of right now, things are okay. It looks like a little bit of a shift into the alts. Bitcoin dominance is down, but let's look at the BTC price for the weekly close that we had, which was coming in above the 34 exponential moving average. That's not bad, but we did get rejected off of the 21 exponential. That is bad. Typically staying above the 21 exponential on the weekly is a sign of strength. Coming back down to this white moving average, which is the 55 simple moving average, is a sign that we need to hold that as support. All right, that level is coming in at about 45,500. Bitcoin by next week really needs to hold that, and we could see that we actually did come back to test that level on the 19th of July as well as the 21st of June, those 2 weeks after we had the crown distributional top, which led into what I was calling a reaccumulation after decline schematic in Wyckoff method. Now, we can see that this time of the year back here was pretty much transitioning into a parabolic breakout for Bitcoin. And this parabola essentially ended around February. February is a very kind of up in the air month for crypto and also the stock market at large. We haven't seen any global market corrections in early February, according to my research, but we've definitely seen market corrections into late February transitioning into March. So this is kind of giving me a little bit more open-mindedness into how this whole cycle can play out in regards to the prior cycles and how this one might be shifted slightly further. But we have to be open-minded for all things at this time, not just panic selling because of the fear in the market. When we have extreme fear in the market, it's typically a time of accumulation, not distribution. So I'm not telling people what to do with their investments. I'm just letting you know how I'm perceiving it and how I am playing this gambling casino. So we can see that we still have the 8 simple moving average is above the 55, and we can see the 13 is above the 21 is above the 34 on the weekly. So this isn't completely bad. So just yet, this is not awful just yet. I'm just letting you know. If we were to start seeing this 8 crossing below some of these exponentials again, that would be probably a sign of more dump. So I'm not, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I want this to be more of a short-term analysis in the interim. It's very important that between now and next week's close, we hold this 55 simple moving average. So one other thing to mention is we have a 3-day close tonight. Let's look at what's going on. You can see that we were holding the 55 simple on 3-day closes, but this isn't that bad. We've had 3-day closes below for Bitcoin and still held support before continuation to the upside. Also, we had this washout back in May, and again, it took us some time to have that wolf cross where the 8 gets above the 55 with an upside sentiment, and we danced around a little bit before even higher highs. So this is interesting how this 3-day is holding up, but I do not like seeing this 8 simple cross above all of the exponentials, just like I taught you with the weekly analysis. This is a sign that resistance is going to start coming in on these closes right here and into this cluster of moving averages on the macro time frames, which is about 54,000. That's going to take a little bit of strength to get above those levels, but we know crypto, and this is more hopium, but if Bitcoin wants to move, it will move. It happens time and time again since its inception. When it gets the bloodiest is right before it turns around, and that's how crypto tends to be. So anyways, we don't have any noticeable support showing up on the moving averages, but I'll get to the downside targets. So right now we could see we actually have a 2-day close coming in tonight, and we are holding on these 2-day closing supports. This is telling me something. It also comes back to this trading that we did a bunch of back in August through September. So this level of 47,000 is a key level of support for Bitcoin. Again, we are seeing wolf cross with downside implied, and that is bad. So we do have the 200s below us sitting around this 44,000 level. That is something that I do want to talk about. So now, the first conversation of downside targets would be, in my opinion, this 200 simple moving average, and I'm going to give you a whole bunch of reasons why. So you can see back here after the big dump we had after all-time highs, we kissed the 200 simple moving average, the dark green line, and then bounced from there. Now, we actually did come down to it here, but this washout was very, very manipulated and fast. It was a 7-minute washout. So this doesn't necessarily count because 8 minutes after that washout, Bitcoin was back at 47,000. So this was just a liquidity avalanche. That's the quickest way of explaining it. It was a liquidity avalanche. Excuse me. So now that we have this level and we have somewhat of a touch point down here before we had, and look at this, this was a downtrend with lower lows after lower low, and then finally the bounce off of that led to an increase. Let's look at another piece of evidence. So we have right here, when I hover over this area of where this wick came down in, you can see that Bitcoin's low on the RSI was sitting around 36, and today's RSI is sitting at 38. So we have 38 RSI, 36 RSI down here before we tap down on the 200, and the 200 simple right now is looking around $43,900. Let's just call it 44K. Now 44K would just bring us to the cluster of low support that was coming in after Shemitah started. These lows down here were being held supported by the 55. We can see that's no longer in the cards, but these moving averages as longer term moving averages are more important, okay, because they're longer term moving averages. Now we have back here, we can see that we played along those. Let me turn off these just so you can see a little clearer, and I'll zoom in. You can see how well back here during this whole sideways consolidation range, Bitcoin kept coming back to this dark green moving average over and over and over again before popping up and then actually creating a new uptrend. So this is something to consider, guys. This is a very interesting analysis. I'm not saying that we will hold this level. I'm just giving you the first downside price target to keep in mind with evidence, with actual charts. Now, if I was to bring up some of the fibs, you can see that this 200 exponential is right around the 382 fib, and that would actually be a higher low based on some of the lows that we were getting when we swiped down in that liquidity event. Now, the obvious next downside level would be between 42K and 44K. 42 to 44 would be a perfect downside level in the event that we go further. Now, let me add in even more evidence. We have the Bollinger Bands on the 2-day chart. You can see the Bollinger Band, the bottom side band is sitting around 44,544. That would also give us another level of support. So we have these converging on each other around 44K. This tells me that 44K to 42,000 would be a solid area for Bitcoin to bottom out at if we're going to go lower. I'm not saying we will go lower. I'm just giving you the technical targets as to what's possible. And again, that would just be higher lows from the structure back here. Anything going below 39,600, that's where we have a new conversation. But between now and then, we're essentially planting a very similar bottom structure that we were getting back here, where we just have multiple 2-day, 3-day candles closing at similar levels. As you can see, we're doing that right now. And then we had basically a recovering of the 8 simple moving average on the 2-day chart, like you can see right here with this big green candle. And then we started to get above the 20 simple moving average, which is within the Bollinger Band, and that led to new highs. Now, I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm just letting you know how this structure played out. So let's go to the daily and look at the analysis. Now you can see the bands are widening. As they widen, this is giving us lower price targets. Again, on the daily Bollinger Band, where does that sit us on the bottom side band? 44K. Another perfect reason you could see, since we got within the bands again after the liquidity shakeout, we were holding support on the bottom side band. So if the bottom side band today is sitting at around 44, this is telling me that if we stay very sideways between today and tomorrow, this is going to start to bottom out, and it'll bottom out around that 44K level, exactly where I was telling you before. So it's a very important textbook downside target. Now on the upside, we need to have some upside targets, and right now it's more of a conversation about resistance rather than breakouts, because this isn't looking so good. So what we can see clear as day is the 200 exponential moving average is playing a resistance on the closures, and that's sitting at around 50K flat. Why does that make sense? 50,000 is a psychological resistance. It's 50,000, perfect flat number. That's the area to break. Now, we do have a couple things to consider. We have the 200 exponential sitting around 50,000, as well as we have the 618, which is sitting at around 51K. Now, if I was to bring up all of these moving averages and turn off my Bollinger Bands, we're going to see that the 21 exponential is actually sitting right around 51,800. If we continue to close below it, it will continue to come down. So the big resistance area would be 50K psychological resistance, upwards of 52K. It would take a break of those levels plus trading above the 21 exponential to see continuation to the upside. And I don't even want to get too much ahead of myself right now, because we need to take it slow. We need to be much more realistic at this time. In the immediate short term, if Bitcoin closes a daily below the 200 simple moving average, which is in line with the 0.5 Fibonacci level, which could be today, by the way, guys. It looked like it happened yesterday, slightly. But my point is that this is something where we have to be cautious. This is a no trade zone, especially on leverage. The more we trade at these levels, the more sketchy it gets, because we have washout levels, or these are the levels where Bitcoin decides to pivot and completely reverse into a new structure, or what's called a reversal. So I'm just letting you know, downside target would be obviously around 42K to 44K because of the 382, but then also the 2-day Bollinger Bands. We have the 200 simple moving average around that level, and that would be an additional move of about 6-7%. And like I told you in my last video that I released, which I also was warning about these downside levels in the event of similar TA, that will bring a lot more blood to the altcoins. That'll bring altcoins to somewhere, some coins could be down 85% at that point from their all-time highs. So this is all kind of just blood in the streets right now. What we're seeing is sideways. This is the confusion zone. This is to get people scared. This is to get people fearful, right? So I'm going to leave it at that. We have our upside levels, 50 to 51K. Until we break that, we're pretty much going to be held at these levels. And then on the downside, holding this 0.5 fib on the daily would be very nice. If we're going to get a swipe to the downside, it would be 42 to 44K. And with the next couple days being important, again, tomorrow being 99 days since Rosh Hashanah, that's really interesting to me. And tomorrow might be the day. So we'll just have to see how that all plays out. Now let's move on to XRP really quickly. Again, XRP is doing very similar. It's actually holding structure around this 76 cent level. Now, why is 76 so important? Because it comes back to Ripple. with 76 in the English ordinal cipher again. So we know that Gematria works really well. This washout event that we had right here was literally like 8 minutes long. So it was a washout, but ultimately the 86 cent level couldn't hold. So what held? The 76 cent level held, and we've had multiple touch points to that right now. We have 86 right there and 76 right there. The Gematria works, okay? If we have a 10-minute liquidation event, that doesn't necessarily count in the big picture. You can't even see this wick if you were to turn on a line chart. It wouldn't even exist, all right? And actually, most of the full-time traders, most people who look at this market calmly, don't even use candles because the candle wicks are deceiving. Okay, so what I want to say about XRP is the weekly close, go to the 3-day, 2-day, and then finish off there. So we do see a bad weekly close. Let's turn off the drawings and get into this. So the weekly close that we had was actually below the 55 simple back 2 weeks ago, and then we had yesterday's closure resistance on it, and then now we're seeing, it was another bad rejection. So we had this dump back here, which was around the SEC times. This is the move that we're this was the time frame that we're kind of close to now. You could see that this liquidation event started on the 21st of December, around that time, which was Saturnalia last year. Perhaps Saturnalia was a ritual for XRP and the SEC. I'm sure maybe you guys have never thought about that before. So that might be something enticing for you guys to go back to last year. Look at Saturnalia. Look at the code. Look at how it ties into the Securities and Exchange Commission, and you're going to see for yourself. There's probably a decode in the making right there. So we have this washout, couldn't hold on the 55, but it was ultimately okay because what we saw was support back at the lows coming in around the whole time frame between April through July, which was post-pandemic crash. Now you can see right now we have our lows coming in around July, which is 52 cents. We have the 200 exponential moving average around 58 cents. So, damn, if we're going to get a washout much lower, that's literally how low this can get. And this would be a huge Wyckoff pattern to be considerate of. So let's go to the 3-day. Now, the 3-day is giving us some important information. We could see that the 200 exponential likes to play a support. We could see lately we've actually tested it on the washout, but we haven't back tested it since this market has actually stabilized. This is showing us around 74 cents, 74 to 73. And when we had the yearly highs going back in April, pulling down to support at the very lows where we had this double bottom, it came right down to the 200 exponential moving average on the 3-day chart. So again, we have a 3-day close. This close tonight, if we stay above this, we'll slightly move it up, maybe officially move it into the 74 cent level, and that would give us a good downside target to consider. 2-day chart, we are smashed within the 200 simple and exponential moving average. Again, this is something that needs to be resolved soon. I do not like closures below the 200s on macro timeframes, so this is showing weakness. And the fact that the RSI is not into oversold just yet, that's a sign to be cautious. We're sitting around 34, 35 RSI. This can absolutely go lower. We can see that during this time where there was the washout, we are essentially trading at similar lows on the RSI. Back down here, actually, yep. So with the 2-day chart analysis, it looks like XRP rarely goes below the 2-day RSI into oversold. One time it did was back during the C-scam. So it did get into those levels. But since it does hold, if you see where my cursor is at right now, that's pretty much the backtest lows, somewhere around 32 RSI. And the 32 RSI coupled with support on the 200 simple moving average or back tests of it, again, is a sign of potentially bottoming. Now, this isn't hopium, I'm just giving you the TA. So the daily chart, again, below all of the moving averages, all of these EMAs are starting to cross below the 200s. This 55 crossing below the 200s is painful. So we need to see structure forming. We need to see this recover. With the fibs, we don't have any fibs below us besides a double bottom potentially. So again, that would be a huge washout, something to consider. If we were to get a lower low soon, actually, that would potentially create, or not a lower low, but in the short term, in the microstructure, if we were to get a lower low, that would give us some sort of bullish divergence in the making. So we'll have to see. And the daily MACD is like really bottoming out and ready to recover. So we look like we're like moments within recovery. It's just all about Saturnalia right now. And typically this time of year is bullish for crypto. The one coin that it was bearish for last year was XRP, because of the SEC thing. And again, you could see the high. Oh my God, that's amazing. The high for XRP last year was right before the dump was the 17th, the day of Saturnalia. And look at what it did. It trended down into the pretty much New Year's. Right in the transition of New Year's, it recovered. So I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but like, damn, like it was one of the only coins that did that during that time, while Bitcoin and the other coins were pretty much recovered and moving up into new highs. So just something to be considerate of, guys. Like, this is a very ritual time of the year, and I really want people to be careful when they're getting into trades, especially leverage. And if you're somebody who's a long-term investor, somebody who's in this for the long run, you need to be dollar cost averaging. You need to be creating a strong investment thesis so that you can get through whatever's about to come, because the market's not going to give you what you want. The market throws us curveballs. We've been thrown a curveball. Perhaps we have some miracle happen, but we don't live our life as if there's miracles. You know, the importance of this video today was to wash ourselves away from predictions and price targets and all this nonsense and be realistic and be emotionally responsible for whatever comes our way. That was the whole point of today. And I really want that type of mentality being who's in this community with me, who are the type of people who are here to have utility in our conversations as a community, as a family. Because just complaining and being mad and, you know, getting upset at what the market does, that doesn't change anything. And you have the power to actually change how you are, how you react to this market. Everything that happens in your life gives you an opportunity to react to it. And if you react to it with fear, you're in a lack-based mindset. You need to react to everything with love, and then you will be able to manifest abundance. It's very, very simple. So, as simple as it sounds, I know it's hard to live through in the day-to-day. But anyone who's been in this market for a couple years, maybe you've lived through this SEC dump. Maybe you lived through the C-word crash that we had. And what did this crash create? Do you remember what this crash did to some of the altcoins? Because if you measure off these lows on most altcoins, you'll see somewhere, I mean, I know XRP is only up 1,200%, but we have coins like Theta, T-Fuel, V-Chain, I mean, even Matic. You know, it's insane the gains that these coins made. Just off of that dip, we saw somewhere between 10,000 to 70,000% gains. I mean, just a simple one would be Solana. Solana off these pandemic lows, I mean, geez, just look at some of these charts, you know, when you look at them in log. Right here on this December transition all the way up to here, we're looking at 22,000%. You're looking at Luna. You know, look at Luna going back to the pandemic lows, and we're seeing an increase of today. We're at 40,000%. Sometimes we need crashes. Sometimes we need blood in the streets to create those gains that some of you want so badly. All right. And anyways, I've given my warning about Terra Luna and Solana in my last Red Pill episode. So we've hit those fib extension targets, and I would be cautious on those, because if you're up in coins right now, if you're doing well, if you have a high ROI, you've made a lot of money on an investment, this is not the time to be playing around with greed. All right. So I hope today is extremely comprehensive and covers all the bases, because I'm sure a lot of you weren't expecting me to say what I just said about Terra Luna and Sol. If you've made your money, secure some of your money. Again, it's not about becoming rich. It's about becoming free. But once you become free and the money shows up, it's about securing the wealth that you generated. You can make all the money in the world. It does not mean you will keep it. Okay? So I'm wishing everyone a beautiful rest of your day in the Matrix. Much love.